Hi, everybody. Thanks for joining us for new agent training today. Today, we're going to be learning how to and walking through the steps to create a comparative market analysis. So that is a document that is going to allow us to show our seller or our buyer what we believe the fair market value would be for a home that they are selling or wanting to purchase. So the reason why it's called a comparative market analysis is we are going to be using that data to analyze other homes who are active, pending, or sold on the market that most similarly match the home that is our subject property. So I will say that this is absolutely not an appraisal. We will never get as deep as an appraisal. We are not appraisers. We are not trained to be appraisers, which is why you will see probably the only scandalous part of this is I'm going to tell you that I'm not going to make adjustments. You know, there is a field in there for me to make adjustments like an appraiser would, but I'm not an appraiser. So I'm not going to be doing that because I don't know what an extra half bathroom is worth. Nor do I want to misrepresent that I am qualified to determine what an extra half bath is worth. Instead, what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be using this data in a very pretty package to be able to sit down and explain to my client why I'm giving them the price recommendation I am giving them, whether that's for the home purchase my buyer is about to make, or whether that's a listing price that my seller has requested. So we're going to walk through how to do it. And I'm going to let you know my philosophical thoughts on each part of it and how I use it with my buyers and my sellers. So there are multiple training videos available on FlexMLS that Flex has created on the functionality of their product, of how to use it. How do you step your way through it? So this course is going to be recorded and obviously put on our YouTube channel, but also know that there are at least 3 other comparative market analysis videos that Flex has made available under their tutorials, and I'll show you where to find those. So at the conclusion of this training today, please feel free to go and watch those videos as well, just as some supplementary training. So let me share my screen. We're going to go to the MLS. Gonna clear my screen a little bit. All right, so for the sake of argument, let's say that we're working on a comparative market analysis for a buyer, and the buyer has found a brick ranch in Southwest County that they would like to make an offer on. It has a full basement. The basement is not finished, it's unfinished. And it is a walkout basement on a typical Southwest County, maybe 1/3 of an acre to 1/2 of an acre lot, okay? So our buyer has looked at this property and they are trying to decide if the asking price, if the listing price is fair. So and they ask me, do you think this is a fair price? And I'm going to say, let me go back. Let me look at the numbers, because it takes some time in real estate to be confident enough to say, I don't know. I don't know. And there's no way I could know. There's no way, even with me selling real estate for years, I'm going to know just off the top of my head whether a price is fair or not. I cannot be an expert on every single neighborhood in the entire Roanoke Valley. So I have no qualms about saying to them, you know what? I'm not sure, but you know what I'd like to do is you guys go get dinner. Let me go sit down at the computer. I want to look up comparative properties that have sold in the last 6 months in this subdivision or this neighborhood. And then I'm going to call you and I'm going to talk to you about what I think is a fair price. Okay. So what I'm going to do when I go home is this. You're going to go to the menu and you're going to go to CMA. But if you look to the left of that CMA title, you're going to see a yellow star. If you click the star, see, my listings is one I don't have starred. It's available to star it and select it, but I haven't. The ones that I have put a star next to are the ones that are going to show up on this upper tab up here at the top of my MLS display. So essentially, I've identified those as the ones I want to have a shortcut to. So now I can simply go to my toolbar at the top and go to my shortcuts, and I can click CMA. So I'm going to create a new CMA, okay? It's going to be residential. I'm going to go with total finished square footage as my statistical piece. Also, that is your only option. So I'm going to click next. And I'm going to say, this is for Betty and Susan. I've got a mother and a daughter who are wanting to buy a one-level living brick ranch so that mom can age in home and daughter can keep the home after mom goes into a retirement community or wherever her next step in life is, okay? I'm going to use this comments section, but I'm not ready to type in there yet. What I'm going to use this comments section for is after I've completed my comparative market analysis, I'm going to come back to this section, and that's where I'm going to write something like, hi, Betty and Susan, thanks so much for giving me the opportunity to assist you in finding a home. While looking through the properties that were available for me to compare this one to, I found that brick ranches were very common in Southwest County, some with finished basements, some without. For the purposes of this report, I am only using brick ranches with unfinished basements so that I can closely match the home on Parkdale that we're considering purchasing. But you can understand, I won't know what I'm going to write in that until I've finished doing the comparative market analysis. Okay, so I'm going to leave that blank for now. I'm going to go down here to this little next step in the bottom right-hand corner. And when I click that, that is going to step my way through all of the tabs at the top that consist of all of the data we're going to need to fill out this comparative market analysis. Okay, so the next one is the subject property. What is the subject property that I'm using? Typically, when you're doing this for your buyer, you're making an offer on a house that is already in the MLS. So just for example purposes, I'm going to look up real quick a brick ranch in Southwest County. And y'all know I get really irritated with this new quick search option because I don't think it does what they say it's going to do. But let's go ahead and go in here. I'm just going to do a quick search and find an active brick ranch in Southwest County that we can use as our example. So I'm going to say municipality, nope, area. So I'm going to say Roanoke County, South, and I'm going to pick style of home and put in ranch. And we're going to look and see what we have. Sadly, there are only 11 to choose from because our inventory is crazy low. But let's go with 4314 Crest Hill Drive. Let's make sure this is truly in Southwest County, Roanoke County South. We're going to use it. So I'm going to use this as the house my fake buyers want to buy. Okay. So I'm going to write down this MLS number because when I go to the CMA, we toured Crest Hill tonight. My clients really want to buy it. So now what I need to do is find comparatives that most similarly match it so I can see what they've sold for in the last 6 months. So I'm going to go here to auto populate fields from existing listing. This could be, if it's ever been in the MLS, you can plug it in here. I will even use this with sellers if their house had ever been on the market before. So if I'm going to be doing a comparative market analysis for my seller to help make a listing price recommendation, I'm going to go pull the old listing from when they bought it, and I'm going to plug that MLS number in here because it's going to pull up a photo and the general information about the property. Okay. So this is the subject property. The subject property is the property you're trying to figure out the price for. Okay. So I'm going to say auto populate fields from existing listing, and I'm going to put in Crest Hill, the one my fake buyers want to make an offer on. So I'm going to put that in. I'm going to click submit, and you'll see that it's going to upload the photo here. It's also going to give me the information from the MLS. Now, you also have upload photo as an option here because perhaps the subject property has never been on the market before. So it could be a listing that has never ever been on the MLS before. And I'm trying to meet these sellers and tell them what their home is worth. Well, I can go grab any photo off of the internet of this property, even Google Maps, and I can upload that photo there if I've downloaded it to my hard drive. Or I can drive by, take a picture of it, and then upload it here, okay? So now that this has already filled in the information, I'm going to click next step. Now it's saying to me, what comparatives and comparables do you want to use? And comparatives and comparables are interchangeable. So I'm going to go with mapping, and I'm going to say a quarter mile, find comps. I can always go back and change this radius, okay, if I don't find enough listings. So I'm going to click find comps. And now the computer is the MLS is going to run out there and look for any brick ranches within a quarter mile that have sold in the last, I believe it's year. Could be 6 months, could be a year. So one thing you should be aware of is if your subject property is not showing up, something has gone wrong, because obviously the subject property should be showing up because that's the one that you're comparing everything to. In this case, it's bringing up split foyers, it's bringing up ranches, it's bringing up some cottages. However, this cottage here you see is on the same street. So that's a pretty valuable comp, even though it's a different style of home. So here's one pending on the same street, and it is a brick ranch. Now, the problem with these is these are pending. We have no idea what they sold for. In this market, I'm going to say it's a fairly good guess that they sold for close to their listing price. But in a regular market, you would have no way of knowing, okay? You could call the listing agent and say, hey, my clients are getting ready to make an offer on the listing up the street from yours. I know you obviously can't tell me what it sold for because it hasn't closed yet. But would you tell me if you got anywhere close to your asking price? And that listing agent may tell you to take a short walk off a long pier. Or they may say that it went almost at full listing price. Well, I'm going to use that as with confidence that is a fairly good comp, and I'm going to keep it in my comps. So
now, I'm going to chime in for just a second, not to interrupt you, but I am anyway.
Please.
So in this CMA, the way they configure it, when you do choose the pending comps, and I do include those just for my people to see, it's not going to weigh your recommended price. It will not take that pending amount because we don't know what it actually sold for. So it's just going to be there as a reference to show them that it was there and it was listed at this price and that it's under contract, but it's not going to change your weight in your recommended high and low list price suggestions.
It will not include those in the average. You're
right.
Absolutely.
Sorry, I didn't mean to.
Perfect. No. That's an excellent point. So Jennifer's right. I'm going to include them in my CMA anyway, because I want to show them, hey, look how many properties have gone under contract and are waiting to close. Also, those will become comps as soon as they close, okay? So that also gives you an idea of what the appraisers are going to be appraising in the next 30 days, right? So what I'm going to do here is I am probably going to continue to look at it in this list format, but you can always change how you're viewing these, okay? I could go to map and look at them all on the map. There they go. And obviously they're color coded because we're showing the pendings in orange and the solds in blue. Another interesting thing here to notice is there are no actives except for the one we're getting ready to buy. So there may be some competitive offers on that property because 3 have sold within a block and are pending, and this is the only active one left. So that's going to also maybe give us an indication of what demand may be for this home. If I saw 5 active on the street, going to be a little less competition probably. Okay, so all of that is sort of the gut feel and the industry knowledge you're going to start to grow as you begin looking at all of this and saying, what does that mean? What does that mean that this is the only active property in this neighborhood? Now, had I done this search and I was not satisfied with the number of comparatives that the search found for me, I could go up here to edit search and I could edit either the radius and maybe I go to a 1/2 mile, or edit the search and be more restrictive. What if I had 50 comps in this bubble? I may want to go ahead and edit the search to say only give me ranches, okay? But in this case, I'm satisfied with 18. I'm going to hand select probably the best or the best 4 or 5 that I can find that most closely resemble our subject property. So I'm going to look down through here and I'm going to go back to list. So I'm on map right now. I'm going to go to list up here on the right. And then what I'd like to show you is any of these data fields can be what you choose to sort by. If I want to sort by days on market, first I see the longest any of these homes sat on the market was 71 days, okay? But when I go on down here, and I could have done sort ascending, I've got many that have gone under contract or sold in 1 day, okay? Now, if I'm doing this for a seller, that's going to be a really hot piece of information for my clients to have. It's going to help them set their expectations and price-wise where they want to be. Do they want to sell in 1 day and price it aggressively? Or do they want to price it maybe $5,000 or $7,000 over what we were thinking? And perhaps it'll take a few more days to sell. So all of that is going to be calculated into what their motivation is. What are the most important parts of this sale for my seller? As for a buyer, if the subject property has now been on the market for 22 days, that should tell us something, okay? Now, it has not. When we look, our subject property, where did he go? Has been on the market 3 days, okay? Some of that also has to do with the day of the week. If the house went on the market on a Monday, I would expect it to have a few more days on the market than I would on a property that goes on the market on Friday. Because on Friday and Saturday and Sunday, those are going to be the days most people can go see that home, especially in the winter. The winter slows down, in my opinion, in part because we all start to hibernate. It's dark at 5:30 p.m. And if you get off work at 5, it makes it very difficult to go see a house until the weekend, because obviously you'd like to see the yard. You'd like to see the house in natural light. So I think in the summertime, we obviously get to sell for a longer period of time in the day physically, but also people's free time frees up because they have all evening. So this house that our subject property has been on the market 3 days, I'm going to go ahead and pick comparatives. Now, ranch, it being a ranch, is the most important comparative here. Style of home is very important, but so is finished square footage, numbers of bedrooms and bathrooms. So there's no real science to this. This is where we're getting into the art of it. And the art of it is you are selecting the comparatives that are going to go into this comparative market analysis. It is not going to be fair for me to compare this home to a brand new brick ranch, okay? This home, when we look at I'm going to click on the MLS number to look at the full detail. This home is a 1964 brick ranch. Now, pretend we went and saw it tonight. So we know that it has been updated. It does have a newer kitchen. It's not a brand new kitchen. but it's certainly not a 1964 kitchen. Refinished hardwood floors, newer bathroom, and some finished space in the basement. Not much of a backyard, but it does have a carport. So now, pretend we saw this house. Now, when we go to our list and we start choosing the properties we would like to compare it to, we're going to choose ones that are most similar. So for our example today, I'm going to go ahead and select several properties, both pending and closed, that I think most closely match. And what I'm going to do is I am most certainly going to choose the other brick ranches on the same street. That is a no-brainer. And a lot of times I will just go ahead and rule out any newer homes. So this one looks to be about the same age. I can certainly go into the listing and look and see what age it is, 1970. So that's certainly compatible with what we're looking for. So I'm also going to leave off our subject property. I'm not going to select that one as one of our comparables. Okay. Now, once I have chosen our comparables, okay, I'm going to go back up to the top and I'm going to switch to selected 5. So there were 18 full results and 5 selected results. I'm going to go ahead and switch to selected 5 right here. Okay. I'm going to make sure I have at least 3 or 4 closed properties. And then I'm going to go up here to the top. And once I've checked this box in the upper left-hand corner here to say I want all 5 selected properties, I'm going to go to the upper right-hand corner and say return listings to CMA. And when I click that, it's going to insert them back into our comparative market analysis. And I'm going to click next step. Here, I'm able to make adjustments, but I've already told you I'm not going to make any adjustments. It's not what I'm trained to do. I'm not trained to decide that that 800 square feet in the basement of our subject property means I should devalue any of these other properties that doesn't have the same, okay? I would have no way of knowing what the price point on that would be or what the value on that would be. But I am using it as a talking point for my clients. So I'm able to say to my clients, okay, so the house we're getting ready to buy has got some finished square footage in the basement. These other ranches don't. So that is going to have some value to it. You know, if you're going to finish off a space in the basement, how nice that that's already done for you. So let me click next step and we're going to go to the summary page. The summary page is where it's going to lay out all of the data. This is my favorite page because it's going to have our the pending listing in one section, but then down here in the overall market analysis at the bottom, I love it. It's going to tell me several different pieces of information about the comparable properties, including what's the average days on the market. What's the average sold price compared to the total finished square footage? So if y'all have ever met my dad, you know he will have talked to you about price per square foot. That is a measurement he uses, and he's got his own mind's eye about new construction, what that should be price per square foot, what resale should be price per square foot. So when we look at this one thing I want you to look at down here is the average list price per total finished square footage versus the average sold price per total square footage. What we're seeing here in the closed listings is the average list price per total square foot was $90.58 per square foot, and the sold was $92.28 per square foot. Only in this market are we seeing where the sold price per square foot is higher than what the seller was asking for. Now, that could be a couple of reasons. That could be because the buyer was asking for seller paid closing costs, and therefore they artificially inflated their offer price to above list price to be able to ask for those closing costs. Or it could be this market is nuts, and so people are willing to pay more than the list price. So that is going to be reflected right there. When your sold price per square foot is higher than the asking price, the list price, you're in a wonky market, okay? And the average days on the market is 2 days. So this right here, if you put this data in front of anybody in the United States, they would say that market is a seller's market. The sellers are getting more on average than they're asking for, and their homes are selling on average 2 days. So this is some data that's very interesting to look at when you're talking to your buyer. They're not going to understand it. They're going to be looking to you to explain it to them. And so I'm trying to encourage you, do some of these. Just if you go look at a house with someone and they decide not to buy it, run a CMA anyway, just for your own knowledge, so that you can take a look and start learning how to interpret this information. So I'm going to click next step. And now we're going to go to the recommendation page. So you can see that the recommended price to offer for this house is $215,992. That's based on a low offer price of $192,000 and a high sale price of $244,018.15. No, I don't know what's up with that price. But these are taking of our comparables, the lowest sale price, the highest sale price, and it's giving us an average. To me, how I explain this to my buyer is our offer price is going to fall somewhere between that low and that high, because this system has no idea what the inside of our subject property looks like. It knows the data like year built, style of home, square footage. What it does not know is that in our house, it has a much newer, the one we want to make an offer on, it has a much newer kitchen and bathrooms, much more updated than the others. So I'm going to say we're going to be closer to that high price. Now, if I can remind you, the list price is $229,950. I'm probably not going to go up to $244,18, of course, but I'm certainly going to be higher than the $192. And I'm going to be higher than the $215,992, because the house we want to make an offer on is much nicer than the ones we were using as comparables. So I'm going to click next step, and I'm back to that primary page. Now I can go to cover page and I can start talking about what we just learned in the comments section. And I can say, I found brick ranches within a 2-block radius that have sold in the last 6 months. I found that they mostly sold within 2 days. I can assume there were probably multiple offers if they sold in 2 days. You could even call the buyer's agents from those sold properties and say, hey, were you guys competing with other offers? Did you ask for seller paid closing costs? I'm just trying to formulate an offer on the one down the street, and I just had a couple of questions about yours that closed last month. Call them, ask them. You may not get a return call, but it gives you more information to go on. So now I'm going to finish my comments section, and I'm going to decide, oops, sorry, hopefully I didn't lose everything. Nope. Okay, so I'm going to go to finish, and I'm going to come back over here to my settings page. I may choose to not display that $215,000 listing recommendation page. Okay. Now, when I'm doing this for a seller and I'm going to go in to a listing presentation and I have no idea what they're hoping to get for their house and what they're going to want me to list it for, I may opt to not put that listing price recommendation page in there, because it may be the case that I've never been inside their house before. I have no idea they've updated the kitchens and the bathrooms. And then I'm going to look like an idiot when I come in and say $215 is what you should list your house for. And they're showing me a brand new kitchen and 2 brand new bathrooms, and their house should really be $245. So I want to look like I know what I'm doing. So I'm not going to shoot myself in the foot with having that listing price recommendation on there if I don't know that I've seen the house and have an actual judgment call on what I think the value of their home is. So I may opt to leave that off. Now, when I'm doing this with a buyer, I may click that button and decide to display that to my buyer to say, okay, that house we saw tonight, I think it's recommending $215. But as you can see in my comments section, I've said that I think we need to offer full list price because of the newer kitchen and the newer bathrooms, and because the listing agent has told me that they have 2 offers in hand and they're reviewing all offers tomorrow at 10 a.m. So all of that has to go into my advice to my buyer. Okay. You also can choose some cool color schemes if you want to, you know, whatever you want to choose. And then you can save it, email it, view it, download it as a PDF, and send it to your clients. So here is what it looks like when it's all finished. Apparently plum is, I'd like my headers to be in a pastel pink color. But here it is. It's got the subject property. Here's the map. So I can see that the comparables I'm using, the pending and the closed ones, are all within a 2 or 3 block radius here. Okay. There's a legend at the bottom to tell you what the color codes mean. And then it has a list of the subject property, excuse me, of the comparable properties. And then we're going to compare. Here is the information on the subject property. Here it is in subject position 1. And here we are comparing our comparables to it. Now we have several comparables, so it's going to take up 2 separate columns here. So we've got the pending sale of Crest Hill here, sold Crest Hill, sold Fontaine, and then we've got our subject property in the next column, sold Fontaine, sold Hillbrook, sold Crest Hill. Oh, excuse me, pending. So we're going to look at all of these. And as we go down, we're going to have a chart here. Okay. And then we're going to have all of that data I was discussing. Here is the average list price per square foot and average sold price per square foot and the average days on the market. And then I'm going to have my listing recommendation page, low, high, recommended. Okay. Then I've opted to include a full detail report on each one of the comparables because my clients may say something like, oh, but did that one have a garage? Well, that's not going to be on the CMA, but it will be on the full detail report at the end of the page. Okay. And you can see no garage, garage, and then make your assessment based on that. Okay. I'm going to stop sharing and we're going to chat for a little while. I know that was fast and a lot of information, but I want to pause and let you guys have any comments or questions or ask about it. Did it make sense? Did it seem easily done? If you can follow the steps. And of course, we're going to have recorded this and put this on the YouTube channel.